So, you're probably wondering how I got into this mess. Well, it all started when I wanted to talk about Gardevoir creepypastas, which sounds weird, but let me explain. If you're new to this channel, you might be unaware of my love for horror, especially cheesy horror. For instance, creepypastas and grimdarks, and that mixed with my love for Pokemon has led to me dabbling in Pokemon horror spaces for quite a while now. And one of my favorite Pokemon at the time was Gardevoir. Being one of the most popular Pokemon of all time, Gardevoir has a great design and interesting character, often being depicted as a powerful and feared knight that loves and cares for its trainer, as seen through various Pokedex entries. Made even cooler by having a fun split evolution and just generally being a nostalgic pick for many people. All of this combined naturally led to me looking for Gardevoir creepypastas, which there was surprisingly few of. But one did stick out to me all the way back then. However, before that, I feel like we should address the elephant in the room. No, not that one. I'm actually pet sitting that one. Probably shouldn't have had him on the third floor. Either way, what I was getting at is I feel like most people might not be confident enough to admit they like Gardevoir. Thinking the solid reasons that they might like it, for instance its cool design and lore, sound more like an excuse instead of the actual reason. Likely brought about due to all the stigma around this mon. That is, that its fans want to bone it. Which I don't even get. Arena is right there, you guys. Jokes aside, this is usually the part where I'm supposed to shame people who do like Gardevoir for that reason. But honestly, y'all got approved by Markiplier.
Smash.
And if he approves, then I'd be a fool to go against him. Plus, I'm an anthropomorphic sea slug, femboy, slime thing. What position am I in to shame anyone? Just don't be a dickhead about it. By the way, do y'all hear sirens? Okay, so apparently I've been charged with goon defending, whatever that means. And now I'm awaiting trial, because I guess that's illegal here. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure how the police got me in the first place, considering I was trapped in a void last time. Thankfully, I was able to smuggle in my laptop, and since we have some time to kill before the trial, what I was trying to say is that Gardevoir is a very popular Pokemon, and therefore has garnered a lot of attention. And while the majority of it is not safe for work, I mean, we can't deny that, it's just a fact. Does that really matter? If you like them for that reason, whatever, dude. And if you don't, then don't let others discourage you from interacting with the character in cool and inventive ways because of something as silly as internet stigma. With that, I wanted to highlight one of my favorite horror interpretations of Gardevoir to see how others have used the character in the past, alongside what they do well and what I think could be improved upon. AKA, I need an excuse to talk about something I'm nostalgic for and wanted to package it as an interesting video topic, but in reality, these two things are hardly related. Okay, let's go! When it comes to Gardevoir creepypastas, it's hard to argue that there's any more popular than Call of Charon. While it was no Lavender Town or Lost Silver when it came to popularity, it's still undeniably the most famous Gardevoir creepypasta to this day. Originally just being a Gardevoir fan sprite / recolor made for a Pokemon sprite competition by the Clockwork Crow, depicting a male Gardevoir with a dull purple replacing its usually green accents, in a greenish gray dress, with hollowed black eyes, and a dark void where his horn ought to be. The first public post I could find depicting Charon was posted to DeviantArt in July of 2010. with the creator seemingly being inspired to create a creepypasta of the character in November of the same year, seemingly after receiving high praise for their creepy design, which is actually how 7-year-old Garden found it, as I would watch my fair share of creepypasta reading, usually resulting in me waking up my grandma at night to stay with her because I was afraid the Tails doll was gonna kick my bedroom door in and start spewing hyper-realistic blood all over the place. The story itself starts with our main protagonist telling us about a strange experience they had, as these stories tend to do. I hate to interrupt half a sentence in, but can we please do more creepypastas talking about places in the actual universe instead of just possessed or evil video games? That's so much more interesting to me than some person stumbling upon Pokemon Murder Edition in their mailbox with a gun. Oh! Regardless, it all started with them finding an absolutely beat-to-hell Pokewalker while taking the bus to school, and promptly tucking it away till they get home, where they realized the little device still had some life left in it, and even a Pokemon, finding that the previous owner had seemingly discarded their Gardevoir. And being that this was one of the author's favorite moms, they found comfort in the idea of giving it a second life, promptly starting a transfer from the Walker to their copy of Pokemon Soul Silver, where they learned it was named Charon. Charon. I wonder if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Let me go double check. I wasn't, and even though I do try for the rest of the video, I kind of switch back and forth, so I'm sorry. However, before the transfer could finish, it froze midway through the process, seemingly unable to load Charon's sprite. The author panics, but thankfully the DS wasn't broken, just confused. So upon rebooting the game, they were able to view their new Gardevoir, and to their horror, they were a sight for sore eyes. Upon seeing this, the author needs to take a sec to collect themselves. Holy hell! You're killing it, my dude. Spooky as feck. After that, they're able to properly look over his stats, noticing he's nearly level 100, yet has 0 HP, and nothing they tried to do was able to heal him, because of course not. I mean, look at him. I didn't mean anything mean by it, just that you could use a Poke Center, and a whole bar of soap, multiple bars of soap. Besides that, he also had an odd set of moves, with Parasong, Destiny Bond, Shadow Ball, and Teleport, all of which are moves it should theoretically be able to learn, except Parasong, a move Gardevoir has never been able to learn. Between that and the gruely appearance, it was pretty apparent this Gardevoir was as hacked as a slasher victim. However, the author, intrigued by the situation, decided to keep them on the team, putting them in the front of their party in order to chat with them. Upon doing so, the game presented the author with a prompt that read, "Charon wants you to follow him. Will you follow Charon?" They were then prompted with a yes or no. The author, baffled yet still intrigued by this impossibly advanced hack, presses yes, because Creepypasta pro tags don't know fear. I'd have a torch that DS then thrown into a hydraulic press by now, but you have more gold than me, I suppose. Upon hitting yes, Charon uses teleport, alongside uttering a mangled noise of cry, one so loud and disturbing that it makes the author wince, as they are then somehow transported to the old Chateau. And I feel like there has to be more interesting haunted locations in Pokemon than just Lavender Town and the old Chateau. If only there was a video about that in the description below. Realizing once again how insanely complex this hack was, the author tries to leave, now concerned they might corrupt their save, and being afraid that turning the system off would potentially damage their game, alongside realizing the rest of their Pokemon have mysteriously disappeared, they decide to once again stick through it in the hopes that it would reverse said changes by the end. While wandering the manor, a wild Ghastly attacks the group, and Charon is able to swiftly take care of it. However, instead of it fainting, it joins the party upon being knocked out. After this, the author once again attempts to talk to Charon in hopes that they would teleport them out. As they do so, the same prompt from before popped onto their screen. Charon wants you to follow him. Will you follow Charon? Charon. That is a hard word for me to say for some reason. Feeling a small tinge of relief, they once again press yes. To their dismay, instead of being teleported out of the manor, Charon then takes control, leading the author even deeper into the old Chateau, where they would continue to encounter and catch Ghastlies on their way, eventually culminating them arriving at the room where you'd usually catch a Rotom in the Gen 4 games. Though this time around, the room was much more decrepit and decayed than previously. Charon, alongside the Ghastlies, walk into the middle of the room, with the Ghastlies beginning to circle Charon as he begins to use Parasong, the song itself sounding much more distorted and slow than before. Of course it did. The author then attempts to turn down their DS volume, but as you'd expect from these types of stories, that only causes the noise to grow louder. Soon, what appeared to be a black hole began to open beneath Charon. Suddenly, the song stops. Charon begins to talk directly to the author.
Thank you for bringing me here. These souls and mine will rest now. We're not done yet, however. Your turn will come. Your turn will come.
And I will. In 5 days, I will get to you.
Oh, the voice took it out of me. Charon then screeches once more, this time at a quote-unquote impossible volume and horrible pitch, causing the author to drop their DS, ultimately breaking it. With the story then wrapping up in a pretty anticlimactic way, as the author states that while they had some nightmares and it kept them awake for a few nights, nothing really ended up coming of the threat. Of course, I did leave out a lot of detail in order to generalize the plot, though if you want to read the full story, it's linked below. Though I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to post this from jail per se. They didn't exactly give me the Wi-Fi password, and I just happen to have memorized all this. As for my thoughts on it, it's certainly a creepypasta from the 2010s, so not great. Of course, that's not actually fair. There are some amazing creepypastas from this time. In fact, some of the best. And to its credit, there is some things I think it does well enough. Charon himself, I like. I mean, he looks the same as every other 2010s creepypasta character from DeviantArt, but that's because he is a creepypasta character from DeviantArt, and I don't inherently think that's a bad thing. It really is an encapsulation of the period, and to me that's kind of the fun in it. It has a sort of charm in the cheesiness of it all. Sure, the story itself will not be a shaking in your Kit Kat thigh highs, but it's a fun little trip to the past when stories like these were considered at least somewhat scary. Plus, I kinda have a special place in my heart for these type of designs. Call me an employee of Pizza Time Theater of how much cheese I put in my horror. I just think if everything's played straight all the time, it'd get redundant. Not to say serious horror is bad, I love that too. Just that campiness will always have a place as well. Beyond that, Charon's story actually has some inspiration from Greek mythology, as Charon is actually the name of the ferryman of the underworld, a demon of sorts that guides the lost souls across the rivers Akron and Styx to Hades, whereas souls who cannot afford his toll are said to wander the realm aimlessly for hundreds of years, till they're also granted passage. Thank you, Wikipedia. And as we've seen throughout the story, these same actions are what happen in the Call of Charon. whereas our Charon is seen collecting lost Ghastlies in order to guide their souls into the afterlife. As for the threat at the end, I'm not 100% sure what that's all about. Greek mythology's Charon isn't exactly a nice dude, being a demon and all, but he's not really a bad guy. He's not known for threatening or killing anyone. In fact, it's uncommon for him to speak at all, typically just gesturing or grunting in response. So as to why this Charon does so, your guess is as good as mine, but if I had to assume, it's because, whoa, scary threat, and not much else. That aside, this is great stuff. The inspiration, that is. The execution is a tad lackluster, and honestly my biggest critique. While not bad per se, the story did feel a tad flat at times, and maybe a bit rushed to boot, especially that ending, as it really felt like the story was just beginning, not ending. Meaning by the time it did end, I was left wanting to know more and didn't really feel satisfied. Though I will say I do love the Pokewalker idea. Finding an abandoned PK Walker with a supposedly hacked or haunted mon inside, that's a fun idea. Let's just disregard the fact that you can't transfer a Pokewalkermon back to any game besides the one it's transferred out of, and then it continues to be a fun idea. Granted, that's nothing against the author. I didn't even know that before researching, so I think they get a pass there. And instead, my real biggest gripe with the Pokewalker idea was simply how fast it was thrown to the wayside, and then promptly turned into a generic Pokepasta. Beyond that, it also does have some of that old Creepypasta stink these old video game pastas have. Its unrealistic hacks and possibly loud noises, and the fact that the author just so happened to come across this mysterious Pokewalker, like the many other authors who stumble upon Splatoon Stabby Stab Edition in their local GameStop. Which, mind you, I don't inherently hate any of this. As cliche as they are, and as much as they make me sigh, they put an unapologetically wide smile on my face. Honestly, my problems come from the fact that they don't fully embrace the ridiculousness of it all, as right now it does feel a bit more generic and half-baked than anything. So, all that aside, I like this story. While it is undeniably flawed, like I said, it has a sort of charm to it. One I often see quite a bit in these older stories. It's called nostalgia. But you can really tell that Clockwork was having so much fun writing this. And even if that doesn't inherently make it amazing, I enjoy the passion and I think the concepts here do have merits, and I'd love to see them revisited with a modern retelling or overhaul. I think that'd be pretty cool. Hell, if you want to see me take a shot at making my own version, let me know in the comments below and I'll see if I can snag permission to do so. And while you're down there, you might as well do the rest and like and subscribe. I do think with it being decently popular at the time and nostalgic enough to this day to see new fan art even 15 years later, there is a place for the story to become a classic with a bit of work under the hood. Even I made some fan art doing an F&F sprite of Charon a few years back, which actually ended up inspiring others to create a full week. Granted, I kind of started that mod to begin with, then disappeared because I'm unreliable. Also, I don't play FNF anymore.
Mr. Gardevoir, will you please pay attention? There is no more time for dilly-dallying. You are being accused of quite the heinous crime here. Goon defending in the 2nd degree.
Huh? Wait, when did we start the trial?
If you were paying attention, you would have seen we started the trial quite a bit ago. And before we could even start proper, you went on jabbering about Gardevoir scary noodles or something, and we couldn't stop you. At some point, we resorted to throwing books at you, but you kept going.
Not to interrupt you, Your Honor, but I think this is a clear indication that the defendant here is guilty, as they were clearly trying to waste time in an effort to distract us from his transgressions. Transgressions? You guys never even explained what I did wrong. Nor was I told my rights or even given a lawyer. Also, there's no jury. How the hell am I going to be fairly prosecuted?
Yeah, we don't do that here.
What? Bare prosecutions? Or the bare minimum?
Mr. Asada, this is Void Court. We just do whatever the hell we feel like here. I mean, this whole situation is a mess.
Great. That's just lovely.
Mr. Asada, I've had it up to here with your sass.
What?
We have wasted enough time here today, and my lunch break is in like 10 minutes, so let's just wrap this up real quick. Looking around my lips around some Arby's. Mr. Asada, how do you plead?
First off, gross. And secondly, not guilty, Your Honor. I wasn't defending gooning. So that's a made-up word anyways.
All words are made up, Mr. Asada.
Whatever, look. I was simply defending all Gardevoir fans via playing devil's advocate in the hopes that I could get across the idea that regardless of what reason you like Gardevoir, or any Pokemon for that matter, it shouldn't undermine why others like them, because at the end of the day, they're still a well-designed creative mon, and people shouldn't feel discouraged or bad for liking them because of some underlying stigma. So to illustrate that Gardevoir, like any character, has the potential to have many varying and unique interpretations, I read an old creepypasta as a way to kind of show off that potential. And while Charon isn't perfect, it's still a great example of the potential creativity that can be done with the character. Sure, it's cheesy and goofy, but it has passion, and no matter what you think, it's hard to deny that. While I admit Gardevoir might be overly loved, if you will, as long as you're mindful and respectful to those around you and keep that stuff in the right spaces, then who cares? Mind you, I'm not saying you can't dislike NSFW. I'm just saying not to jump to conclusions because somebody's favorite Pokemon happens to be Gardevoir. I mean, Gardevoir used to be my favorite because it was my dad, and I didn't really know him before he passed away, so in a childish way, I saw it as a way to bond with him. But even then, I don't care if others see Gardevoir in a different light, because more likely than not, it's probably a tamer reason than you think. Probably.
Okay, damn. You need to give a villain's monologue worth of dialogue. You could have just said you're not a goon.
Oh, well, not gonna lie in court, I mean, look at me.
Jesus Christ. That was a lovely little speech, even if half of it made no damn sense. So for the sake of getting this over with, I'm just gonna ignore that last comment and just let you off with a warning.
The cheesy, nonsensical speech gets him every time.
Wait, Your Honor. I have one more piece of evidence to sway the non-existing jury.
They actually did drop those initial charges, but they got me for harboring a stolen elephant. Before I go, I would like to once again thank my YouTube members, Best Pro Gaming, Zenlube, and Piper Does Gameplay, alongside my $15 patrons, Psyche Eclipse, and Benjamin Baker. Thank you all for the extra support. I, once again, truly appreciate it. Okay, bye! I knew I shouldn't have taken that elephant. Okay, I'm gonna level you guys. This video has gone through like 10 rewrites at this point and it's 2 weeks late. It was supposed to be a counterpiece to this video because I hate that damn video, but it kinda got out of hand.
Garden, you're free to go.
How?
Someone paid your bond.
Gasp. Why did I do a Kermit voice for that?